Good morning. This is the time and place for zoning case hearings for June 13, 2018. My name is Bradley Collin, and I will be conducting the hearing as a hearing officer today. We have one case scheduled for today's meeting, and all the relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. If you have not already done so and you wish to speak, please fill out one of these green speaker card forms, which have been provided by the front door and submitted to our planning staff. I would like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer's hearing are recorded as part of the public record. Notification of this hearing was published by use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I'll read the description of the application. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. Next, the applicant will come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or opposition to the application and interested parties will be asked to come forward after that to speak, again clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. And lastly, the applicant will be given an opportunity to make closing comments, if desired, in response to testimonies given by the preceding speakers, and that will be a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission, or the decision may be made today. The case we have before us is a variance. The project description is to construct a new single-family dwelling with a 3-car garage on a 103,774 square foot lot. The applicant is requesting approval of a variance to allow a driveway that is not located completely on the same lot as the required garage in the R1R Floor Area District 3 zone. The property is located in Glendale. However, access to the site will be taken from the city of Los Angeles. Mr. Badikian, can we have a presentation, please?
Yes, Mr. Collin. This application is for a variance to allow the development of a residentially zoned property that's landlocked. The zoning code in Glendale requires that all driveways be located on the same lot. Since this property is landlocked and does not have street access, parts of the driveway must be located on an adjacent or abutting property to gain street access, and hence the variance application. This property became landlocked when the freeway was developed. Access was cut off, and this property, on one side there's the freeway now, on all the other sides there are residentially zoned properties that are located in the city of Los Angeles. So the applicant is proposing to develop this lot, which is approximately 2.3 acres, with a 5,000 square foot approximately single-family dwelling. The dwelling will be located on the southerly portion of the lot, where the topography is more permissive, and the access that's being sought is also on the southern portion of the lot, and it's the most logical access given the topography of the site and proximity to a street in Los Angeles. The driveway providing street access will be taken off of a similar property in Los Angeles, which is zoned for single-family residential uses and is currently undeveloped. Prior to reviewing this case, we sent a request to the city of Los Angeles for comments. This was at the time the application for variance was filed. We did not receive any comments from Los Angeles. And the second time we contacted the city of Los Angeles when public notices went out for the hearing, and we haven't received any comments from the city of Los Angeles. Staff's recommendation is for approval of this variance application, given that all the required findings can be made. The property has been deprived of its access, street access. The easement where the driveway is being sought was put in place when the property became landlocked. And since all the required findings can be made, staff's recommendation is for approval with a number of recommended conditions. And I'm going to go over some of the unique conditions that pertain to this particular case. One, if the variance is approved, then the next step for the applicant in order to develop this proposed house would be to apply for a design review board application, which will review the site planning and the architecture of the proposal more in detail. Another condition that's specific to this case is that all driveways must be constructed and built to Glendale standards as a minimum, and they must be put in place prior to final approval of the building. And another condition that's unique to this case is that all permits that are required by the City of Los Angeles must be obtained from the City of Los Angeles. So Glendale will not be the only agency issuing permits for this project if it's approved. Since we put the staff report and recommendation together, we've received comments from a neighboring property owner. The comments have been provided to the hearing officer and to the applicant. Having said this, I'd like to conclude my presentation unless there are questions from the hearing officer.
No, thank you, Mr. Badikian. One thing to note before I open the public hearing as it relates to the findings, if the evidence presented at today's hearing meets the required findings, then the hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. However, if findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. This time I'd like to open the public hearing and ask Mr. Rodney Kahn to please come up. Please state your name and address for the record, and if you could please go through the findings for the variance.
I certainly will. Good morning, Mr. Collin, city staff, community. My name is Rodney Kahn. My offices are located at 1111 North Brand Boulevard, Suite 403, here in the beautiful city of Glendale. As Mr. Bagdikian stated, our property is a hillside lot. It's actually right on the border of the city of Los Angeles and the city of Glendale. And it's also a very large lot in that it's 2.38 acres in size. We are proposing to construct a new single-family house on this site. Our variance request is to allow a portion of the proposed driveway to be located on an adjacent lot. And through research that was done on our behalf and also working with the City of Glendale Public Works Engineering, and in specific, Bill Ahern, who was very helpful, it was determined and discovered that, as Mr. Bagdikian had pointed out, when the Caltrans went and did the Glendale 2 freeway, when they were acquiring properties in the 1960s, actually these parcels were modified, their access was eliminated, and a condition was created where the only access to the property is actually through the city of Los Angeles and surrounded by the city of Los Angeles. In order to address this landlocked site, there was actually a corrective easement deed which was recorded. That was provided to you as part of our package. I brought an extra copy as well that I can leave with you. That corrective easement deed, and it's been recorded, specifically allows for a 20-foot in width driveway by about 50 feet, kind of varies based on the topography and the configuration of the lot, that allows access from Round Top Drive to our property. Also, as pointed out, the City of Glendale has standards. One of those standards is in part that all required driveways leading to parking areas be completely on the same lot. And thus, we will go into the findings that are required. There is no land that exists within the city of Glendale boundaries that we could acquire, adjust, or combine with our site to have access to a public street. In that case, our site is unique. It's unique in its arrangement and this restrictive access. There are no other properties in this area that have this exceptional circumstance that has this in the same zone or neighborhood. Our justification for our request relates to a legal parcel. It has a certificate of compliance. It's zoned for single-family residential use, but it has no means of providing a driveway or access to a public street. The variance itself, in terms of, will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or to the property. I've talked about the restrictive access, and Mr. Bagdikian pointed out a portion of our driveway actually is in the city of LA, Los Angeles, and the majority of it is in the city of Glendale. The city of Glendale has standards, engineering standards, building standards, fire standards. We will meet all standards as it relates to the driveway, as it relates to the house when ultimately that hearing takes place. We will also be meeting the city of Los Angeles standards, specifically as it relates to the property that's in the city of Los Angeles. So driveway standards, their treatment, their circulation, all of those standards will be met. I received a letter from Tim Ryan that I'd like to give you as part of the record. It's very brief, so I'll read it into the record. It says, "My name is Tim Ryan. I am the property owner and developer of the 3 adjacent lots to 4751 Round Top Drive. I will be building 3 single-family homes in the near future, 1 on each of these lots. I have reviewed the variance application for 4751 Round Top Drive and fully support the variance request and recommend the city of Glendale approve it." And that's from Tim Ryan. I'll give this for the record.
Where is these properties that he's talking about in relation to?
3 properties that are directly, if you look at this site plan, it's going to be to the southwest of us. So 3 lots that will be developed.
Is Mr. Ryan the property owner of the lot where the driveway is having access through?
Yes.
Okay.
For some additional information also related to the findings, we have had a number of meetings with the city of Glendale, staff from Glendale Water, Glendale Power, Public Works Engineering, Fire, and Building and Safety. And the reason we've done that in advance is because, 1, we needed to make sure how this property will be permitted, building permits, etc. And 2, how will the utilities that serve this site, that predominantly will come in from the city of Los Angeles, how will that work and how does it relate with the city of Glendale? We've also had meetings with the city of Los Angeles, and in particular relating to the driveway, the location of the driveway, the standards for the driveway, and the utilities that I just spoke of. Because we wanted to make sure that in advance we understood how is this property that's very unique, that's almost on an island by itself, that's located in the city of Glendale, how will it be permitted and served? There are additional findings other than the standard findings that are required because it's a hillside lot, and I'll touch on those as well. It talks about the development keeping with the objectives in the Glendale Municipal Code. the hillside design guidelines, etc. The reason we're here today is for a variance for a portion of a driveway to be off-site. As Mr. Bagdikian has already pointed out, there will be future hearings for the design of the building, for the size and scale of the building, for the architectural style of the building. That's from the Design Review Board. This hearing is for this specific item. The additional findings that need to be made can be made and have been highlighted in the staff report. But basically what it talks about is the project, there are no protected scenic vistas, there are no blue line streams, there's no primary or secondary ridge lines on the site, but there is one indigenous tree. And I'll give you a map or small exhibit that was done up. It was identified in the staff report that there was a indigenous tree that's not on our site, but that's on the boundary or border of our site and needed to be identified. I've highlighted it here. It is a coast live oak tree. It's existing. We are 92 feet 7 inches away from it. It's no way in any way will be altered, modified, impacted, or any other structure from our site would impact it in any way. So it will be safe, it will remain, and non-impacted at all. And I'll give this exhibit to you as well.
Thank you.
As Mr. Bagdikian pointed out, the house itself will be located on a portion of the site that is flatter. That is a very positive thing in terms of minimizing the grading and minimizing the impact on the surrounding environment. But once again, I'll focus my comments and my attention on the variance request, which relates to the driveway and the portion of the driveway that we're talking about. Any standard, as I mentioned, that the City of Glendale has, such as a decorative driveway standard or any other type of standard, both communities, both the City of Los Angeles and the City of Glendale, we will meet those standards. So we've already understand what they are, we've already discussed this, and we've already incorporated that into what we're proposing. Briefly, because I have a limited amount of time, there are a couple conditions that I'd like to talk to you about. One of the conditions that was highlighted in here is condition number 15, and it talks about the elevated decks, stairs, and landings, and there's a minimum 5-foot separation that's required. We will comply with the code requirement, although it lists that there is an alternative. A variance application could be pursued. We are not pursuing any other variance for this site. So that has already been adjusted and meets current code. Number 20, I've just highlighted for you and gave you that exhibit. The existing indigenous tree located nearby should be shown on the plans, as was called out in the staff report. That's not being impacted by the proposed project, nor will it be in the future. It simply needed to be identified, and that's what we've done. Last, all permits that are required by the City of Los Angeles shall be obtained. So I've already discussed that we've met with them. We will continue to meet with them, as we will with the City of Glendale. One of the themes that have been stated to us, both by the City of Glendale and City of Los Angeles, is as we go through this process, and as you know, Mr. Collin, this is a process, that as we go through each step, each department would like to be informed as we make progress. They'd also like to participate, which they will and have, and they'll continue to do so, and will continue to go through this process as laid out by the City of Glendale. That concludes my remarks. If you have questions, I'll be happy to provide answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No questions at this time.
Thank you.
Next, I have a speaker card for John Camus. Again, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is John Camus with Camus Keller Architects. The address is 617 West 7th Street, Los Angeles 90017. I'm here primarily to add more support for any questions that may come up. So at this point, there's nothing more that I need to speak or address. I think Mr. Khan has covered all the bases very well, but I'm here to answer any other questions that may
All
come
right.
up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, I have a speaker card from Alan Frisbee. Again, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Alan Frisbee. My address is 4759 Round Top Drive. It is the adjacent property. I have a number of questions and concerns. First is which police and fire agencies will be responsible for responding to any emergency at this property? Secondly, and thirdly, the trash pickup is going to be done by what agency? Also, I'm concerned about fire access to this property. My understanding, which may be incorrect, is that Glendale requires a 30-foot wide driveway for flag lots with a turnaround area. However, the easement is only 20 feet wide. In general, beyond that, I'm concerned about the size of this proposed house. It is more than twice the size of any other property in the area. Also, I notice on the landscaping proposal for this lot is that a number of the landscape elements are actually on my property, and I've been rather disturbed by that. Since this property is inaccessible except through the city of Los Angeles, I question, why does Glendale even keep it? Why doesn't Glendale simply transfer it to the city of Los Angeles? And finally, I'm of course concerned that the construction of this house would completely block our view of the city of Glendale. And who can I turn to for answers about the questions about the fire, police, and trash agencies?
Maybe Mr. Khan may be able to respond to it on his rebuttal.
All right, but I'm primarily concerned about the width of the driveway and fire access to it, because it doesn't appear that there would be any easy firefighting access to the proposed residence, given the terrain, given the topography of the property.
Well, the fire department, I know, will be involved in the process
Yes.
of all of this. They've got to sign off on whatever it is being proposed, which
Okay.
would include, possibly increasing the width or modifying the slope or something along that line. That would definitely, they would be required to be involved in the process.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have a speaker slip from Anthony Franco. Again, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Franco. My wife, Christine Begramian, and I live at 4761 Round Top Drive, which shares approximately 40 feet of property line with the property at 4751 that we're discussing today. I'm here today to ask you, the hearing officer, to issue a continuance or delay this variance at the time that's being requested for a number of crucial procedural reasons. The first of these reasons is that by granting this variance at this time, we're allowing a project to move forward before any approval has been granted from the City of Los Angeles for the driveway that's proposed. Since it originates in Los Angeles, I believe it should be their call as far as the beginning of the permitting process. Furthermore, as the property is isolated from the city of Glendale, it will require the city of Los Angeles to provide services, and I feel it is crucial that we find out from the city of Los Angeles Public Works that this is even a viable option. I think this is a unique situation for the city of Glendale, and it's probably pretty unique for Los Angeles. As a resident of Los Angeles, but also a property owner in the city of Glendale, I can attest that the taxes in Los Angeles are significantly higher. If a property is taxed by the city of Glendale, but then serviced by the city of Los Angeles, we have a significant number of challenges that will need and should be worked out prior to the issuance of this variance. The other main reason that I'm asking for continuance is that I want to address today that the plan being proposed is out of compliance with the Glendale zoning standards for R1R zoning. Item A1B of the standards states that development shall be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood in terms of size, scale, bulk, mass, roofline orientation, setbacks, and site layout. The project being proposed, as we've already discussed, is 5,000 square feet, which, as Alan has pointed out, is over twice the size of all the surrounding homes. It includes a 27-foot high roof line, which would be the highest in the neighborhood for a two-story structure. The plan also includes a gated driveway, despite the fact that gates in the surrounding neighborhood are non-existent and also could potentially pose a fire threat. The plan being proposed does not blend in with the neighborhood, but rather stands out as too large, too tall, and too isolated. Additionally, there are a number of other reasons that I'm opposed to this variance, which can be seen in the email that I sent to the case planner, Chris Bogdikian, yesterday. I think that's the one you have in your possession,
Yes.
including questions regarding fire safety, grading standards, the energy efficiency compliance, and past foreclosures on this property. In summary, I would like to state that I am not opposed to development of this property. I am questioning the logical order of the approval process. First and foremost, the City of Los Angeles will be servicing the property. They should be have to provide the first level of approval. Next, since the plan falls under Glendale Hillside Development Review, the plan there should be approved. And finally, the variance of the driveway can be easily granted once these other matters have been resolved. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. I guess as a point of clarification in terms of timing, normally variances in Glendale are done first, because if it doesn't get approved, then you basically have no project. If hypothetically it does get approved, then design review board follows. During the design review board process is where they take a look at the scale, the massing, the square footage, compatibility with the neighborhood, the need or no need, or materials for that matter, for any proposed gates or fences or anything like that. So I'm hoping if this does get approved, that all of you will still participate and be part of the design review board process so that they can get your input, which is very important. Next, I have a speaker slip for two people. I don't know if you're talking at the same time or if one of you is going to choose over the other, or it's for Jason. Pronounce it for me. Tidegui. Okay, thank you.
I'm Jason Tidegui. I'm here with my wife, Jennifer Tagorda. We live at 4763 Round Top Drive. Nothing to add at this point. I just want to say that we concur with the same questions, comments, and concerns as our neighbors on Round Top Drive.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else that's in the audience that would like to speak on this? Okay, I'd like to ask the applicant to please come back up.
Good morning again, Mr. Collin. I'll address the comments that I heard from the speakers. First, as you've already clarified, we're following the steps in the process that the City of Glendale has established. So in terms of the order that we do this in, the variance, design review to follow, et cetera, we follow the guidance and the direction that the City of Glendale gives us. The gentleman also talked about the fire and being concerned with fire, and also police and trash. If you look at the staff report, and in particular, there's interdepartmental communications. So as you know, the City of Glendale, when they receive a variance request, the request gets circulated to other city departments and agencies. You can see that the City of Glendale Fire Department has already commented on this project. In fact, it highlights in fire engineering. The gentleman who commented was Jeff Halpert. As we know, he's been in the fire department for quite a number of years. There's specifics as to code requirements, fire protection, access, egress, etc., that we're required to follow, and we will follow them. As it relates to police and trash, that was circulated to their departments as well. I did not see the response back from them. Nevertheless, we've had conversations with these different city departments. Those city departments would like us to proceed through the process, and we will meet whatever their requirements are. The gentleman talked about a flag lot needing 30 feet, and he was not sure if he was correct or not. He is not correct. That is not a requirement in the City of Glendale. It's not a requirement for subdivisions. We meet the requirement that's proposed. In terms of transferring property to the City of LA instead of the City of Glendale, I think that's a comment that's left up to the City of Glendale, however you would want to handle it. We are in the City of Glendale now. We'll process and proceed accordingly. The next gentleman spoke about the City of LA having commented or needing to comment. We have met with the City of Los Angeles. There is no special requirements. There's no public hearings that we're required to do. Basically, it's a process for permitting for the driveway that's required for us to do, and we will do that. The tax issue, some of the other stuff, that's not something that we would be addressing here in a planning hearing. The Design Review Board, and there's comments about the size, the scale, the architectural style of the house. Obviously, I highlighted that in my opening remarks and presentation, that there's future hearings, that would be addressed at those future hearings, as you've already commented on, so I won't continue to comment on that. I'd like to conclude my remarks. We think that this variance request is very logical, it makes sense, and it's well documented. Thank you very much for your consideration. We hope that you approve this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't have any further comments or questions. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and take this case under submission. And after the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing, will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. As it relates to appeals, under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Building and Safety Section Permit Service Center located on the same floor of this building. The hearing is now officially closed. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And it is 10:09. Thank you very much.